Hello, hello, hello. I know that some people like to have things read to them. And you know what? I am one of those people. I love listening, but I also read and listen at the same time, which I'm not sure everyone does. But in this case, I would like you to follow along as you listen to me reading this. It hits both parts of or I shouldn't say both parts, it hits up more than one part of our brain when we are reading, visualizing, and then it hits the auditory part of our brain when we are hearing it read to us. So please, obviously, I can't, check you on this, but please read and follow along as you listen. So this is an article created by American Psychological Association, the APA, and it was written in 2023, so not that long ago. And it's called I'd Rather Not Know Why We Choose Ignorance. And I found it fascinating. I've always kind of found psychology to be fascinating, human behavior to be fascinating. So I hope you will find it enjoyable and interesting as well. So the title here, I'd rather not know why we choose ignorance. It's kind of important to know the different documents on well, no matter what we're reading, but for sure, informational articles or nonfiction, it's usually set up in a very similar way. Every time I look at some nonfiction, it's typically set up like this, where an article has the publication, the date created, the title in big bold letters, and then usually a subtitle. And in this case, ooh, I don't know why that blanked out. The subtitle in this case says, "Choosing not to learn consequences allows people to act selfishly while maintaining positive self-image," research suggests. And a lot of people will just skip right past that because it's in italics. Please don't skip past the subtitles because they usually draw our attention to something or alert us to something. In this case, it kind of gives me a one-sentence overview of what I'm going to expect in this article. Choosing not to learn consequences allows people to act selfishly while maintaining positive self-image, research suggests. All right, and then it says it's written out of Washington. That's also kind of something that I see a lot in articles. All right, here we go. When given the choice to learn how their actions will affect someone else, 40% of people will choose ignorance, often in order to have an excuse to act selfishly, according to research published by the American Psychological Association. So remember, this isn't just an opinion piece. This is saying there's been research that's been published by a very well-known and well-respected organization. Here's a quote: "Examples of such willful ignorance abound in everyday life, such as when consumers ignore information about the problematic origins of the products they buy," said author Lin Vu, MS, a doctoral candidate at the University of Amsterdam in the Netherlands. "We wanted to know just how prevalent and how harmful willful ignorance is, as well as why people engage in it." The research was published in the journal Psychological Bulletin. Vu and her colleagues conducted a meta-analysis of 22 research studies with a total of 6,531 participants. The studies were all conducted in research labs or online, and most followed a protocol in which some participants were told the consequences of their actions, while others could choose whether to learn the consequences or not. In one example, participants had to decide between receiving a smaller reward, $5, or a larger reward, $6. If they chose $5, then an anonymous peer or charity would also receive $5. If they chose the larger $6 reward, however, the other recipient would receive only $1. One set of participants were offered the option to learn the consequences of their choice, while another group was automatically told the consequences. Across the studies, the researchers found that when given an option, 40% of people chose not to learn the consequences of their actions. That willful ignorance was correlated with less altruism. If you don't know what altruism, that might be a word that you'd want to look up. People were 15.6 percentage points more likely to be generous to someone else when they were told the consequences of their choice, compared with when they were allowed to remain ignorant. I decided to look up on my recording here. Let's look up altruism. It's a word that I know, but I haven't looked like the dictionary definition of it in a very long time. So I'm kind of curious. What does vocabulary.com say that altruism is? Altruism. If you see a stranger getting beaten up on the playground and you rush in to rescue them, you have done something unselfish to help another person, otherwise known as an act of altruism. Use the noun altruism to refer to feelings or actions that show an unselfish concern for other people. In science, altruism refers to animal behavior that could be harmful to the animal itself, but that contributes to the survival of the animal group. It's related to the adjective altruistic. Someone known for their altruism is an altruist. So it's selflessness is one of the synonyms. Being an egoist would be the antonym. So yeah, being unselfish, caring about other people's and putting them above yourself. All right, so try vocab trainer. How giving can lead to mental and physical changes in health isn't entirely clear, although studies suggest that blank may be an antidote to stress. We know it's altruism because that's what we're studying here. Kind of interesting to know that there are studies that suggest being altruistic can help alleviate stressful symptoms. I learned something today I did not know that. All right, back to our article. And where was I? Altruism, okay. The researchers hypothesized that one reason for willful ignorance might be that some people behave altruistically because they want to maintain a positive self-image of being an altruistic person. In those cases, willful ignorance can allow them to maintain that self-image without having to act in an altruistic way. That's interesting. Somebody actually being altruistic and somebody behaving as though they are could be two different situations. The meta-analysis backed that up, according to study co-author Shaul Shalvi, PhD, a professor of behavioral ethics at the University of Amsterdam. That's because people who chose to learn the consequences of their action were 7 percentage points more likely to be generous compared with participants who were given information by default. That suggests that truly altruistic people choose to learn the consequences of their actions. The findings are fascinating as they suggest a lot of the altruistic behaviors we observe are driven by a desire to behave as others expect us to, Shelby said. While most people are willing to do the right thing when they are fully informed of the consequences of their actions, this willingness is not always because people care for others. A part of the reason why people act altruistically is due to societal pressures, as well as their desire to view themselves in a good light. Since being righteous is often costly, demanding people to give up their time, money, and effort, ignorance offers an easy way out. Ooh, there's a lot packed into that paragraph. All of the studies included in this meta-analysis took place in labs in the United States or Western Europe, or online platforms such as Amazon Mechanical Turk. Future research should aim to examine willful ignorance in more diverse settings, according to the researchers, and to investigate ways to combat this behavior. And if I click on that, yep, here we go. Here's a PDF of the article. So I may decide to pop this into our lessons too, because it expands or expounds on this smaller, shorter article. So actually, I guess you've got the link to the PDF if it's something that you want to look into and see and look, because obviously this study is a lot longer than just the article is that we read. All right, this concludes the reading of the article. All right, y'all, when you get to this part in the video, I've been putting in these little random things just as proof that students are watching what they need to watch and doing the things they need to do before they take a quiz or do an assignment or whatever the case might be. Kind of stinks that I have to do that, but all right. So what you are going to type into your Google form as the what thing that unlocks the next section, you're going to type snowman in all caps. Snowman. One word all together in all caps. And that's how I'm going to know that you watched the video. Thank you.